James with no regard for human life.
Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. LeBron James with the rejection. Irving and Curry, one-on-one. Irving puts it up. It's good. Kyrie Irving from downtown. And the Cavaliers by 3.
Shot clock is down to 5. Bryant goes to work. Bryant the drive. Oh! Kobe Bryant on a rack attack.
The inbounds pass comes into Jordan. Here's Michael at the foul line. A shot on Elo. Good! The Bulls win it! They win it!
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Internet Undefeated. We are live and direct mid-NBA game flow coming at you guys. You have yours truly, Clutch Phil NBA on deck, along with the co-host commentator, airhead commentator, 730 Radio, and Matic 730 represented.
What up?
And guys, we are live going on here in the Lakers and Warriors game, and we have, so many hot topics coming up for you guys. I hope you're ready for all of them.
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll get it started. The first topic is the Cavs and the Spurs in hot water. Will they make it to the playoffs?
Yeah, hot water, man. We're trying to be nice about it here because the Cavs, we already know their troubles here. And for the first time, and since I can remember, since if you're a child, if you have teen in your age, you've never seen a day in your life where Greg Popovich and the Spurs were a 9th seed in the Western Conference.
That is crazy.
They've been on a 20-year plus run, and, I really don't want to see Pop miss the playoffs, you know what I'm saying? I really think if, Kawhi came back, they would definitely make the playoffs, but if he doesn't come back in time, this is not a good look.
What?
Which, for those who don't know, we're going to touch on this some more. Kawhi Leonard was supposed to be making his return tomorrow night against the Pelicans, but it seems that may not be happening as originally scheduled.
Yes, it is not happening. So what does that mean for the Spurs?
Well,
do they need Kawhi to get to the playoffs, or do you think they're just in a slump and they're going to pick it up and they will make it in the playoffs? What do you think?
As far as their team play, they've had a lot of health issues themselves, from their young guys to their older guys. Top to bottom, they've had to rest and sit some people due to injuries. I know they lost recently. They didn't have, LaMarcus Aldridge on the floor. But put their troubles aside, I really do think they have a good chance to still make it, only because they've been a really steady team all year. And this is just, even though it looks really bad, the optics, seeing them in the 9th seed, this is really just a bad week or so that they're having, and that everybody else is on fire in front of them right now. You got teams like Utah winning 7 in a row, Clippers 3 in a row, even Minnesota winning a lot of games, and the Pelicans, they're only on a 1-win streak, but they had a longer one before that. Anthony Davis was going nuts. Even the Thunder on a 4-game win streak. So everybody, Portland, 10 in a row. Now, can those teams for the next, 2 months going into the playoffs stay red hot and win 80% of their games? I think they're going to level back down and let the Spurs back in, especially if they get anybody healthy coming back to their roster.
Well,
Absolutely. I agree.
I don't know. I definitely think that they're definitely on a momentum, and I honestly think that this year, to me, has been different from past years as far as going into the playoffs. You have Karl Anthony Towns saying basically this is a swamp full of alligators and he wants to get out of that swamp. Like, he wants to make it to the playoffs. So you have these hungry players who are coming out, making a huge difference this year, a huge impact to their teams, and really making a name for themselves. So I don't know. The Spurs is an older team. They don't have their healthy players playing. LaMarcus Aldridge has stepped up this year, but I would not be surprised if they don't make the playoffs this year. Unfortunately, because of all these teams that are hungry, and really going in during gameplay.
Competition is stiff. It's not going to be easy. That's a fact.
The crazy thing is, though, if they do make it to the playoffs, they are, nobody wants to play the Spurs with Kawhi Leonard and Aldridge and Paul Gasol with his veteran, what he brings to the game.
Listen. Parker, Ginobili, Patty Mills, and Danny Green, all champions, are still on that roster. You know.
But again, it's an aging old team. Not
True.
It's. I'm not trying to say age. I'm not trying to say age is a factor in it. But you have Pau Gasol, who is very seasoned in the NBA. Yeah. Very seasoned. And yes, he's good, but I did see him really fold when the Lakers beat them not too long ago. So, we can't really depend on Pau Gasol. Plus Patty Mills with a whole bunch of fouls. There's a lot of things going on in the Spurs.
These guys know all the tricks and what it takes to win. So when you add a healthy Kawhi Leonard and an Aldridge and all these young guys that they have, Kyle Anderson, Murray, it's going to be dangerous. And I'm telling you right now, if Kawhi Leonard comes back and he's anything like the way that he is, when he's healthy,
with LaMarcus,
they're going to upset a lot of people.
I don't think so.
All they have to do is make the 8th seed. But they're going to – I think if they make the 8th seed and they do face the Rockets, they're going to upset the Rockets. That's my take right there.
Oh, no.
Guaranteed.
Listen, even if Kawhi Leonard comes back, first of all, he's going to be restricted. First of all, he's going to be playing restricted minutes. He's not going to be playing the full game.
That's before the playoffs.
He's probably not
if
even.
He comes back before the playoffs.
Okay, listen. He's probably not even going to play back-to-back games. Number one. Number two. If this team is already losing without him because it's an old, aging team, that would mean that Kawhi Leonard would have to put this whole team on his back and basically win the whole thing by himself.
No, LaMarcus Aldridge already been carrying the team all year, and then when he steps out,
as of late, they've been in a slump. So even though LaMarcus Aldridge has been carrying this team on his back, what I feel like LaMarcus Aldridge is the type of player is when he sees that he's going to get that extra help, he falls back. But when he knows that he has to step up, that's when he'll step up and take care of everyone. But if he has that extra help, he's going to fall back.
I think it's going to be different. Him and Pop had a conversation this summer. He signed an extension. Last playoffs that we saw, and last year he didn't really want to be there, but they had an agreement, and I'm telling you, you're going to see a different Aldridge if Kawhi comes back, and it's going to be a good thing for the Spurs and the fans, and I really don't want to see Pop fall out of the playoffs.
Side note, I'm glad that Isaiah Thomas and Lopez, I'm not Lopez, Isaiah Thomas and Julius Randle squared away their beef. Y'all watching this game, they were heated, they were arguing, but I just saw that they
But I think it was with Brook Lopez, though.
No, Brook Lopez separated them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they just dapped up. It was a little touching moment there. Yeah. Speaking of struggling teams here, let's not let...
Yeah, I'm happy that they squared that away. If you guys are missing this Lakers game, whoa, holy moly. If you guys missed the Washington and the Boston game, you guys have to check out the highlights for that game.
Damn, Durant's an animal. That was a great game. The two twin brothers. And it was double overtime.
Double OT. Washington took it, but it was a great game.
Bradley Beal.
Definitely an instant classic thriller coming down to a 1-point, finish where you wouldn't be surprised how Bradley Beal he knows how to close out games, that guy, does he not?
Exactly, because the Celtics had it. Washington came back, yes. And then I can tell, that Beal was getting that edge, and he was in Kobe mode, Kobe Black Mamba mentality, and
that's what happens when you don't have all your experience on the floor, when you don't have Hayward or Kyrie or Marcus on the floor in the fourth quarter. Your young guys, it's hard to keep that lead together.
They were missing 6 guys, the Celtics, and they almost won tonight.
Yes, smart. They're missing Jaylen Brown. They're missing Kyrie Irving. I mean, they were missing a whole bunch of people, and they really kept up with Washington.
Was that next? Did we have that injury report coming up? I know that's on the docket there.
Yes, we'll get into the injury report, but let's get back onto topic. Sorry, guys. We're just excited about these games that are going on tonight. We're in the East Coast, so it's about 12:44 a.m. right now, and this game is just going crazy.
It is. They're not letting up.
All right. So going on. So any other thoughts on Kawhi Leonard's return, possibility of his return, and what that means for the Spurs?
Do you think that it's a good idea for him to return this season?
If he's healthy and ready,
if he's healthy, there's no reason not to play. Like, your life depends on it.
Absolutely. You think they're seeing it as like, we missed the playoffs, let's throw this away, or they're expecting him to come back, put him back in the play.
There's no way with
Popovich has already came out, not recently, but in the last couple of weeks, saying he does not think Kawhi Leonard's returning this season. So he's probably already in the realization that they may not even make the playoffs. Maybe they'll scrap this year, practice really good for the summer, really build better rapport. You have your healthy Kawhi Leonard coming back, and they'll be ready for next year. That's my take. That's what I think is going to happen.
You got to remember the teams in the 5 and 6 seed. They're 9, but the teams in the 5 and the 6 seed, of course, along with the 7 and 8, don't even have more than a 2-game lead on them. So there's no way that he could have, known for sure that they would have fell this far on a 2-3 game stretch. It just happened. So when you come to this realization, you wake up, your team's not playing as well as they could have been. You just got to take it week by week. I know that Pop is not, the quitting type to just say, oh, we have 15, 20 games left in the season.
One of the best coaches in the NBA.
Yeah, come on, look at that pedigree.
Best.
And that winning pedigree, they're not going to lay down, especially knowing. I don't know what the inside track is on Kawhi. We got news changing literally by the hour on
Exactly.
him. So it's really, somewhat of a guessing game at the moment, but all we know is if Kawhi's healthy, paired with LaMarcus Aldridge, that's not a non-playoff team, is it?
Hell no, absolutely not. He's returning in 5 games. We're gonna give him 5 games, and
I think we actually got to hit the buzzer on this
games?
one.
10 games until the playoffs, right?
We didn't even give Cavs any burn on their struggles as well.
You guys have to remember. Okay, we'll get into the Cavs in a second, but you guys have to remember that in the playoffs, it is way. I think the level of competition is way different from regular season. So you got to remember, if he's coming back, is he really going to be conditioned? Is his body going to be conditioned and ready to play all these games back to back to back to back?
I've heard him say out of his mouth that he's been playing basketball, and they asked him, "Is it 5-on-5, 3-on-3?" He said, "It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't mean I'm going to come back quicker." But he's been playing, 3-on-3, and I'm sure he's been playing 5-on-5 with some guys that they have around.
Okay.
And I guess the practice facilities and stuff like that. So don't sleep on it. It could be the best move that they ever made by holding this. He could be 100% healthy last month, but they want him to be, to when he comes back,
so what you're
play
saying
at that top level.
So what you're saying is they're keeping him under the radar, acting as if he's not 100% healthy, but they're going to pull that ace wild card when the playoffs come and
When
put
it
him
comes, he's going to kick their ass. He's going to be.
It's a genius plot, especially considering with the new rules, they wouldn't be able to rest him if he did come back off the injured reserve list.
Exactly.
Okay, say no more. Hopefully that happens. All right, let's get into the Cavs really quickly before we go on to the next topic, because we only did speak about the Spurs being in hot water, but the Cavaliers, I had a lot of faith in them once the trade deadline happened. I was very excited to see them play. I really thought that this was going to change everything, but sometimes I hate admitting when I'm wrong, but I was wrong. Things have definitely took a turn for the worse. So they've been losing. They win some, they lose some. I mean, they lost against the 76ers. Not that the 76ers are doing bad this year. They're actually doing really, 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 really well. But what do you guys think?
It's tough to gauge that team, man. There are Jekyll and Hyde. They, the new cast, like we expected, they're inconsistent. They haven't mastered that chemistry. They put a good fight. I love the effort and the fight in those guys. Larry Nance having career high numbers. Clarkson a little bit more up and down. But, I think that it's hard to gauge that team, as I started with, just because the injuries tied in with the fact that everybody jumped the gun, and I knew this. All right, everybody expected.
All right, I said I hate being wrong, and I admitted it, but there you go, rubbing it in.
I mean, hey, that's more so for the fans. You got on the wagon there with believing your eyes, but all these other guys that they know that these players coming together overnight, they wanted to be, declaring this finals ready team overnight, practically, literally. You know what I mean? And it was just expecting too much. So this isn't even bad. Yeah, they're in a tight spot in the 8th seed. They literally.
It really might be a coaching issue, I think, because it's just these guys aren't, when they first got together, that first 2 games, they didn't have no set plays or anything. Now they're implementing, the program or whatever they usually try to run, and LeBron wants the ball and hold the ball. Who knows? I think it's just a coaching situation or a LeBron situation. Like I said, and, somebody can come out here and prove me wrong. Name one player that LeBron James has made better this year. They always say LeBron makes everybody better. Who's the everybody? Answer me that in the comments. I can't wait to hear it. Who has LeBron made better this year?
I'm not sure, but I'm very upset, guys. I'm sorry to take this off topic again, but I had Julius Randle in my FanDuel lineup, and he just got fouled out. I'm very upset.
He had a strong game going for himself, but, these refs
20
tonight.
10, right? 20 points, 10 rebounds, I believe.
Julius Randle.
What are you going to do? So, these Cavs, they definitely have, all the potential to fight with anybody in the East. I just think that it's not a foregone conclusion that they're running through the Eastern Conference Finals, straight to the NBA Finals, and going to, challenge whoever comes out the West. That sounds like, a dream world come true. So, let's see how they fare now. They're literally only a half game ahead of Washington. Indiana already passed Cleveland. Cleveland Cavs, LeBron James, currently a 4 seed, a half game ahead of Washington, and less than 3 games ahead of the next 3 teams, the 6, 7, and 8 seed. So if they lose 3 or 4 games in a row and the guys behind them win, they could be in the same type of hot water the Spurs or anybody else is in. I mean, these playoff races are getting crazy.
They are. And the competition in the East is definitely growing. This, like I said, this year has been very different from the past years. The Eastern
very
Conference
different.
is really getting strong. And I'll tell you what, don't you feel bad for LeBron? I mean, seriously, guys, he's really the only one holding this team down right now, besides Nance, because Nance is a total beast in my opinion. But he's really just. And you know what? Something's going on. Time out. Something's going on in the Cavs world because Kyle Korver started the other day. So what the heck is going on?
J.R. Smith is unreliable. He's a shooting guard. Where is the shooting?
But he makes threes. I like J.R. Smith.
He's not. He's streaky, and I've always said this. He's hot one game. He's hot. Disappears 5 games.
Maybe they're getting upset.
I would not put him on my team.
Maybe they're getting upset because he threw the suit at the assistant coach. Who knows? Maybe they just want to bench him and they're trying to show him,
They should have traded his ass, but they couldn't get anything for him.
Oh, they should have traded his ass.
I don't think they should have traded him. I think he works very well with LeBron. I just think maybe he's going through something.
He's always high.
For him to, Joel, Matic, come on, you don't know that. Don't make assumptions. I'm just saying maybe he's going through something. Because who in their right mind is going to throw soup at a coach? Come on, J.R. Smith. Soup at a coach?
Yeah.
And he's going to say he doesn't even remember what type of soup it was?
Didn't you hear them say that they smell weed in the Cavs locker room?
But we can't pinpoint it to J.R. Smith.
J.R. Smith. He's eating the fucking brownies. He's smoking the weed. I have nothing against that shit at all. But, you're a professional basketball player.
Okay,
and,
that's
you're
what's
not
making him
playing
sluggish.
up to par.
That's
it's making him sluggish. He's fucking eating.
It is pretty much internet, not like rumor, but like JR, he's been known to overdo it a little bit too much, especially when he came to New York, got a little too loose with Carmelo and the crew a couple times, and hopefully he's reined it in Cleveland.
So, Coach Phil, you don't think it's a system problem, coaching issue? Because Kyrie said he wanted to play as a true point guard and in the system.
That's really, interesting take from Kyrie, like as far as what they weren't, developing on the playbook side of things. They don't really have that type of chemistry that a team would have because LeBron is the do-it-all position. He overranks the coach.
Let's face it.
Yeah, exactly. He outranks the coach all the time, pulls rank, and it's, that's not going to allow your team to have the type of cohesion that you want. And I don't know what type of systems they're trying to implement, honestly. I've seen them play. I've seen them move that ball. They play inside out. They play through LeBron, of course, but he doesn't seem to know how he wants to get people going early all the time. And even if he does, they always have a stretch where they just crumble, where they go dry, and they start looking around, and they don't know where the shot's gonna come from, and they get a little,
Yeah.
I see all the time. LeBron has the ball, nobody's moving, nobody's cutting.
Here's the thing. What I think goes on.
I'm like, what the fuck is this?
I think what goes on is these players, just like Kyrie said, he wants to be a true point guard. That's the only position he wants to play. Maybe some of these players, when they come onto the Cavs team, LeBron tells them, you need to learn how to do every role so that you're successful in every role. So if someone's out, hold on. So if someone's out, you can play that role. And it gets these people who are only concentrating on their one role to then have to take on that extra responsibility to learn a different role, and it messes with them and they can't mesh. They don't know when to turn it on from one position to another.
What Kyrie's talking about is on the Cavs, they only run 2 plays. You give the ball to LeBron and he's going to isolate. You're going to give the ball to Kyrie, he's going to isolate the whole entire game.
I don't like ISO ball.
I don't know if that was their whole playbook the whole time. I'm pretty sure they ran a couple of sets there, and especially in the playoffs, I seen them, dissecting and running up a couple of X's and O's more so when they executed, but it seemed to be consistent because when they run the plays and it gets an open shot for somebody else, but time after time the role players aren't stepping up and knocking them down, then it just becomes ISO ball for Kyrie and LeBron all night. And even that made no sense because you got 2 nasty dynamic players. Why are you not running the pick and roll with those two? You can always create movement and shift to defense, but ISO, I don't know, so many teams. You see the Rockets, these guys, they believe in that.
There's an issue going on there. There's not superstars out there that are going to leave the best player in the world, if he's really the best player in the world.
Yeah, I guess that's up for, that's a matter of opinion. But come on, let's move on to the next topic. We have a lot of topics to go over. Should a second-year rookie be considered for Rookie of the Year? And now this is solely going to focus on Ben Simmons being in the NBA for 2 years and being an Rookie of the Year contender. Now, do you believe that – I don't believe they should be called second-year rookies, and I'll get into that later. But do you think that a second-year rookie, as what the NBA labels him as, be considered for Rookie of the Year due to him receiving all the benefits of playing with NBA players his first year? Not necessarily playing the NBA games against other teams, but at least practicing and learning from that NBA team that he's on.
Yeah, I think he should be disqualified because he's traveling with the team all year round. He's getting the nutrition, the training, the development. He's watching, he's seeing how it is to travel. And when these rookies come in, like Kuzma and Tatum, these wet behind the ears, they have to experience all that stuff while they're playing. This guy didn't play the whole first year. He knows what kind of to expect. He's scrimmaging, he's non-contact, but I don't think he deserves to be the Rookie of the Year after developing. And you've seen how small Embiid was when he first came into the league and how monstrous he is now, and the amount of games he didn't play and what they're doing with Markelle Fultz right now, which is the same thing. Trust the process.
Okay, I hear your take. I hear what you're saying, Clutchville.
Yeah, it's an interesting take. I definitely hear him out as well. I think that, traditionally, I'm always about keeping things, respecting the tradition of the game, the history of the game. Traditionally speaking, it's not, unheard of for somebody to not play the entire first, year and then come in and still be considered a true, not a true rookie, but a rookie. And since they don't have the actual NBA game speed experience, it never seemed to bother me before. But Matic raises some really good points that they do get a lot of benefits traveling with the road schedule alone of an 82 game and having to play and practice and wake up and manage all that. It's different. I would imagine on another level for them, and they get to regulate that. But honestly, does this mean that you don't get the chance? Anybody that gets hurt, let's say you play a preseason game, you get hurt, you never get the chance to go for your Rookie of the Year stats. I think that's the part that would hold me up from co-signing on disqualifying people coming in.
But at the same time, you got hurt. That was your luck of the draw. You can win all the other awards. You just can't take it away from a real rookie.
Okay, so let me say my take on this really quick so we can move on to the next topic, unless you guys have something to say. All right, so a rookie to me is someone who comes into the league and he's playing and it's his first year playing and he's getting used to all the other teams and trying to defend his team and trying to win something for his team. Ben Simmons did not play his first year in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
He was signed to the NBA, but he did not play. So why should he be considered a second-year rookie if he didn't even play the first year? No one knows what his game was like. No one could really
He's not
grade
considered
him.
a second-year rookie. He's considered
in the second-year rookie.
He's in the drawing. He's leading the thing for Rookie of the Year. He's going to win the award.
Okay, I'm
So
glad
he's
that's
considered a
happening.
rookie.
But in the NBA, Clutchville, correct me if I'm wrong, in the NBA, he's considered second-year rookie.
Second-year rookie, even though he counts as a Rookie of the Year candidate, when they refer to Ben Simmons, they refer to the man as a second-year rookie.
Which is horrible because he did not play the first year. So to me, I don't think this is a second-year rookie. I don't even think they should call him a second-year rookie because how could you be a second-year rookie if you're only a rookie once? So you can't be a second-year rookie if you never played the first
So if
time.
you're a rookie once, so why is he in the drawing for this rookie?
Because he didn't play. He didn't play the first year.
Leave us your comments.
He didn't play the first year.
Let us know who you agree with.
You're right.
I don't think he should be Rookie of the Year.
He didn't play the first year, so he couldn't prove himself. How could you grade someone? How could you grade? So you're telling me that even though he didn't play the first year, they could have graded him and he could have possibly won Rookie of the Year? Of course not.
It's your draw is what happened to you, unfortunately. Now
Okay.
you can go after other awards,
Okay,
I guess.
well, leave the comments. Let us know who you agree with. Airhead.
Oh, man. I can't wait to see what the fans got to say, the hot clutch takes.
Yes.
You're going to take that away from Tatum, a true rookie. He's never went a whole year running around with the team, working out with them, getting the nutrition, the planned meals.
I understand that.
All the secrets.
I understand
in every huddle.
But that goes back to
Practicing.
Basketball is basketball, right? So, yes, there's different levels of competition, but you're still learning. You still can work on your plays. You can still run around and work on your shot. Yes, he may have been doing it with his team that he was signed to, but that doesn't mean that he's really challenging himself by playing other teams. Yes.
He's practicing with the real team.
Okay, but that goes back to the NCAA.
We don't know how much stuff he's done.
You don't think that they do that in the NCAA with these college teams?
No, I think
Of
you're taking
course
away
they
from
do.
Tatum or Kyle Kuzma.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
It.
Let us know what you think in the comments. Do you think that he should be considered a second-year rookie, and do you think he should even be a contender for the Rookie of the Year this year, being that this is his first year actually playing for the NBA? Keep that in mind. All right.
Keep that in mind, folks.
NBA resting rule. The NBA has rolled out a rule that is geared toward people sitting and teams tanking.
Yeah, they want to shut down all the tanking and resting.
Yes. So do you think that the NBA resting rule was made due to for example, Popovich and LeBron sitting out during the regular season for no reason, just for resting, just to make sure that they're, conditioned and their body's okay for the next game, and tanking teams such as the Sixers and the Mavs tanking so that they have a better chance in the draft to get, a good first round pick?
Trust the process.
I got to lead off on this one because I'm really happy that the NBA did something about this. It was becoming so ridiculous. The last 2 years, I never, ever seen so many countless entire starting fives practically sitting out at home, on the road.
It's televised games.
Nationally. It's just been so out of control. Listen, a couple of years ago, Popovich, he had a really old core, which he still does at this point for, half 50. And he started rotating them out a lot earlier before once their seating was locked up. And it was cool at first, but now it's become an epidemic, and the NBA has put their foot down and stood up for the fans. They were destroying the product in the name of, saving their players for the playoffs. And it's not fair. You're an NBA player. You sign up for 82 games. It's a part of your contract. If you're old and you can't play minutes at high level, then that's one thing. But sitting out the games altogether, or if you're a perfectly healthy superstar sitting out, we can't accept that in this league.
No, I agree.
Absolutely. And especially if you have, young kids who really look up to LeBron James and these star players, and then when they, buy this ticket, who knows how rich the family is, or, they saved up all their money to get to that game, and when they go there, they find out why isn't LeBron James playing?
Yeah, I watch games because I'm waiting for the 3-point shots. I'm waiting for the impossible shots to be made. I'm waiting for, crazy crossovers. And I mean, that's what I'm looking for. So if, my favorite player, if I go to a game, super excited to watch my favorite player play, and he's sitting down because, he's tired, or I don't want to overwork my body because I need to be straight for the playoffs, hell no.
And how can you be the best player in the world if you're sitting down? Shouldn't you be able to play 82 games if you're the best player in the world?
Exactly. There's players that play all 82 games, all playoffs, all finals.
I've heard Kobe Bryant specifically talk on how to rest while playing the game. And, me and Phil were talking about this, because Phil played basketball, and he said he did similar things like that as well, where, you could find certain different pockets during the game where you can get rest. And I think that puts you in the greatest of all time category if you could do stuff like that. I really think these guys are just getting tired and don't know how, I don't know how you can't get in tune with yourself and learn how to do this stuff and master your craft.
You got to pace yourself. You got to know how to, like he said, rest on the court, if you will. It's not, it sounds impossible, but there are moments, there are ways to do it. You pick your spots and pacing yourself and not letting, you got to finish the game. Third and fourth quarter is going to be big time. So if you're going to put it all on the floor in the first and the second, your team is going to have to do it all. It's just, you can't have your cake and eat it too. And these guys have to man up and just deal with what comes with all these $1 million contracts.
Well, let's play the devil's advocate here, though. Yeah, these players who are resting are playing 40-plus minutes a game. So do they deserve really to rest, even though they're upsetting the fans that are coming and paying hundreds of dollars to see them play? Do they really have, should they rest if they're playing the most amount of minutes each game?
I've never seen Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan ever rest.
Okay, I mean, this is a new era, I feel.
And you're saying you're the best player in the world and you're the biggest guy who's resting.
But then again, Michael Jordan had a team of players helping him. He did not do it by himself. Okay?
So LeBron James, for the past 7 years, hasn't fabricated his team. I want this team. I want this guy. I want this.
It doesn't matter.
I want
now
every starting player. I want every starting player on my team.
It doesn't matter. I'm talking about
Corver,
these players play the most amount of minutes. So do you think if they're playing the most amount of minutes, and Kobe, even back then, had Derek Fisher, Pau Gasol, Ron Artest, he had a good team. Games. It doesn't. What I'm saying is.
So LeBron don't have a good team.
What I'm saying is not right now.
He was most of the resting
games, right?
Most of the resting.
But he's playing the most minutes.
So you're just telling me his team's trash?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying if you're playing 40-plus minutes each game, don't you think? And again, this is just me asking a question. I don't think he signed up for 41 minutes. I don't think anyone.
Hold on.
Listen.
There's a lot of players playing 38, 39, 40, and 41 minutes. Are we going to sit them all?
Hello, look at what happened to Jimmy Butler. He should have sat. When he did sit, and then everyone scrutinized him for sitting down during not even
so you think LeBron
during an All-Star game, he came back and got hurt.
We're not talking about, your body's exhausted. You told the coaches, the medical checked you out.
How do you know if he's exhausted or not if LeBron James is playing 40-plus minutes a game? You can't tell me know that he's not exhausted.
40 minutes a game, and you're an athlete is hurting you. 40 minutes.
Look at Jimmy Butler.
Just answer that question.
Derrick
40
Rose.
minutes out of 24 hours, 40 minutes. In this extracurricular activity,
Matic,
for others.
He could be playing games back to back, and they play games every other day. So what do you think? And in between games, they're practicing.
You're making millions of dollars. You're eating the best foods.
So just because of that,
and you're getting the highest training in the world, and you can't play 40 minutes.
So just because of that, they should be able to do that without being tired.
Yes, Michael Jordan,
That's
Kobe Bryant did it
with teams who had good players on his team, and everyone worked as a team. You're thinking that Michael Jordan had nobody.
You see how many people LeBron had on his team? He traded 10 men in one day.
Listen, let's look at his record, right? And let's look at when he was in Miami, when he had Chris Bosh, and when he had Wade and all that stuff. Let's see how many minutes he played then.
27th Street.
Let's see how many minutes he played then.
Right? The thing is that we're forgetting is that there's an obligation to the fans. There's a contract These are players. These are purchasing tickets. It's like buying a concert ticket and they're
millions
not
of
on
dollars.
stage.
You're right. There's
So,
an obligation. So yes, do I
so
believe
there's
he
an
should sit
Millions
out?
of dollars to play a game.
There's
Do I
there's an
believe he should sit out
obligation,
the whole
and
game?
they signed up for it. Now, if your minutes are high, why can't the coach play you 15 or 20 minutes?
You're
I'm
right.
not saying kill yourself.
And that's the next thing I was gonna say. Maybe there is an obligation to the fans who pay hundreds of dollars to see these players play. Yes, so it's a coach decision that, and again, LeBron's a coach on Cavs, so that's probably why he's able to sit out the whole game. But the real coach should be saying, listen, you need to play at least 15, 20 minutes. I need you to give me at least 15, 20 minutes.
Do you think it's a good rule that they implemented for the fans?
Yes.
Because they're saying that they were making the NBA look bad.
Yes.
They were sitting down, multiple star players.
Yes.
All the time.
I believe that this rule should have been implemented. I'm glad that this rule was implemented because it's not right. It's not. It's sad when a little boy comes or a little girl comes and they want to see their favorite player and they're spending money on the merchandise. They're all decked out in whatever player that they have.
Speaking of fans, I want to bash Larry Nance Jr. for not autographing that kid who came. You looked at him. And you didn't sign his autograph.
Yeah, that's a bad look.
Well, I always think there's two sides to that coin because there's no place on the earth that will give a celebrity a pass for not signing an autograph. And that's not realistic or fair. But I understand that fans is what, makes the whole thing possible. So there's no safe answer to something like this. It's just, you got to understand that they're people too. And you have no idea what it's like every day, everywhere you go for the rest of your life to have to pull out a pen. I mean, I'm talking church, movies. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? They don't dinner.
Signed up for this, didn't you? Aren't you getting millions of dollars? Don't you want to
now that's the thing. That's the exact argument. You bought a ticket. You bought a ticket. No. You bought a ticket. You bought a jersey. You don't own my life. You don't own me when I'm not on the court, when I'm not in the gym. You don't own me.
You don't. But
did you see the video?
You're a little kid and you signed up for this to be a celebrity and a star.
But did you see the video?
It doesn't make him a bad person for not signing every time. It doesn't make him a bad
person. No one says bad person. It's just a bad. I would just, I would just feel sad for someone who, oh my God, Larry Nance, I'm his biggest fan. You see him walking into the stadium. He's coming running up to you, probably the happiest kid in the world, and you just ignore him. You look at him.
Lucky that this kid even knew who you were, Larry Nance.
You look at him.
His mom asked him, who is that? And he said, Larry Nance Jr. And she was like, I'm not a fan. So. And
then 2 seconds later, here comes Kevin Hart with a barrage of people. Kevin Love, sorry, with a barrage of people, and you could just see the genuine Kevin Love looking at the kid, signing his basketball, and giving it to him.
Come follow me.
When I saw the kid and I saw the whole video, I felt bad initially for him, and I did feel like, damn, that was a little douchey of Nance. I don't know, when is it, when they don't get to live, you know what I mean? That's all I just want to point out. They can't live. They're forever going to be villainized if they ever say no. So
you're telling me once they leave the house, right? And he's on these quarters where I guess these people are. He knows he's going to see kids. He's just like, I'm not going to sign nobody's shit.
If he just said no one time, if he says no one time and the internet catches it on camera, he's the worst. Oh, my God.
It's true. The internet is undefeated. Get it? Internet Undefeated podcast. But the internet is undefeated, and people are going to
blow it up.
Say about certain things.
Well, I'm not going to let it die. So I hope everyone else doesn't. So, because the next kid, if he does that, he doesn't do that to another kid. That's what I'm just saying.
The guy's been in the NBA for how many years? How many times do you think he signed an autograph? How many do you think he signed before you saw this one time?
Maybe he has maybe he's that one guy who has an issue with signing autographs. I don't know. I've never seen him sign an autograph.
But he's in the NBA, and he's getting jersey sales. The least he could do is sign an autograph.
If I was his agent,
I'm pretty sure he's donated tons of times.
If I was his agent, I would have been upset seeing that because now you look like a douchebag. Aren't you trying to expand the name, the Larry Nance brand?
There's people out there who advocate for these players, fans really advocate. Look how many people.
I think you guys. This is a prisoner of the moment. I think Larry Nance. I could probably find a lot of footage of him. I think I've seen him on NBA Cares projects with the kids.
I don't think so.
I think all right. Well, I'm gonna do my homework. We're
I've seen
guessing.
Clarkson.
We're just
Listen,
for everybody
it's not
listening.
a Chris
We're guessing
Middleton
right now.
situation. It's the thing that happened, and we're speaking on it. I'm not saying that he doesn't do it to anybody. I'm speaking about this particular situation where I felt that he should have signed the autograph for the kid, and I'm saying
Was that all right? So now this is what pisses me off. You're too good to even acknowledge me coming up to you, so you're not a human being.
I mean, I don't know about acknowledging your existence. I'm pretty
So
sure
you would do that to anybody if you're walking
he spoke.
and someone comes up to you.
Ignore
If
him.
someone comes up to you, you're just gonna keep walking
the video
and
I
not
saw.
acknowledge a human being and say, "Hey, what's up? Who are you?"
The video I saw was a kid went up to him with his book bag open. He looked at him, and then Lernius looked at his phone and kept it moving. That's how I looked at the video.
Yeah, I mean, he's walking. He doesn't stop, and he keeps going. But he does turn and say something to the kid about not signing the autograph, right? So it looks all bad, terrible optics. Can't defend him. I'm just saying, it sucks. You can't get a day off. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it was right. I'm just saying
He has
it's
a whole
one time.
summer off because they're not going past the first round.
I mean, when you say he doesn't have a day off, I mean, he's practicing. So is he giving his teammates autographs? I mean, what do you mean by that? He doesn't.
I mean, anywhere they go, anytime. If we ever see something like this, it's gonna be, criticize, villainize, talk them down.
So you're telling me if someone came up to you, you just completely ignore them
I guess
in the street?
Specific to the person, how
Like
they
you're
act.
Exactly.
trying to get your number.
See, I'm an individual rights person. I'm different. I know that I would love to give endless amounts, but who knows? After 5 years, signing every time that I get, if I said, not right now, one time, you're not gonna hear the audio. You're just gonna see the kid walking away.
No, I'm
sad.
talking about. So you're telling me now he's gassed up and he's this huge celebrity that he can't even acknowledge a human being saying hello. Nobody else is running up to you around here.
I don't get why we're saying not acknowledging him. He turned and spoke to the kid.
Well, comment below if you agree with me because everybody needs to look at this video on the Internet Undefeated Instagram and tell me what you think.
Can we post it onto this podcast?
Probably, yeah.
On YouTube?
Exactly. The
All
NBA
right.
doesn't own that.
All right, guys. So let's move on. That was a little bit of a heated discussion, but definitely let us know what you think about that. Do you think that they should sign the autograph? Do you think they should be, humble and remember that it's really for the fans? Or is it okay, like Clutchville said, to take a day off and not sign anything or do anything for the fans? Let us know what you think in the comments. All right. So the games that went on tonight, to bring it back: Washington versus Boston, Lakers versus Golden State. We have a lot of injuries today. So many people were out. 6 people from Boston. I want to say 2 or 3 people from Golden State. But they were games not to be missed. The Washington and the Boston were neck and neck. Actually, not really. Boston had a 20-point lead against Washington, and Washington came back. The Lakers and the Golden State were neck and neck almost the whole game. I think they won with maybe like a 10 or a 12-point lead. Golden State won that game. But games not to be missed. Certainly 3 raining, impossible shots. Beal ending it for the Washington, for the Boston. The Lakers losing, but all good players. Julius Randle fouled out. All good games, Smith.
I saw Tatum, drop the ball late in the, I think,
in double overtime.
Yeah,
he lost it.
He had 2 turnovers, I believe, and then didn't hit the game-winning shot.
Yeah, he lost it for Boston. I wish it was going into triple overtime because my FanDuel, my lineup, but I'll say double overtime. I'm gonna keep throwing that in there because
I mean, I love games like this where, you expect it to be a blowout, yet that, Boston didn't have Al Horford, Kyrie Irving, for those who don't know, Gordon Hayward, Jaylen Brown. I mean, just so many talented guys were out. I didn't even think this game was going to be competitive. Then you come to find out that everybody dug deep. You had Terry Rozier going nuts. He gave him 21, 5, and 9 assists. Of course, Tatum had 19. Marcus Morris leading the way with 31-9 for the Celtics. I mean, these guys, and they got contributions from across the board. Even Baines, Monroe had 16, Larkin had 10, Nader had 10. They just Larkin had 11, excuse me. So they got double digits from guys that I'm sure some casuals out there don't even know their name.
Right.
That's how deep the Celtics are showing us that they are. Imagine when you add the 6 guys that weren't on the floor back to the roster, and then on the flip side you got Washington, who's clearly they can sleepwalk through half a game, come back and take it over behind Bradley Beal, and they don't even have John Wall back on the floor, and they're just steadily closing that gap behind Cleveland, like we already mentioned in those standings there. It was really nice to see Bradley Beal take over another game and
another game.
And Beal did mention that John Wall, just an update for all you guys, John Wall is practicing with the team again, and according to Beal, he's looking really good.
And they should be proud of, what they've done without him.
Absolutely.
They should be super proud of what they've done without him. And I'm not surprised to hear that John Wall's looking extra sharp. That is a hungry man. You want to talk about playing with a chip on your shoulder? I wouldn't be surprised if the Wizards gave the best punch to come out of the East this year.
Absolutely.
I can see that happening, especially like a Kawhi Leonard type effect coming right before the playoffs, coming strong.
Yeah.
And not knowing what you can expect out of that team.
I'm excited to see what's going to happen when John Wall does come back. That's what I'm excited to see.
Yep.
Yeah, honestly, I've been watching. I mentioned Boston and Wizards as my second half of the season shout-outs and flops. And, just because we knew Boston was doing well, but it was all without a lot of good pieces on the floor. What are these two teams going to look like when they're healthy? Who's going to be stronger?
I'm worried about the Celtics because they're saying Smart might not even come back, and you know what type of impact he makes on the second unit.
Yeah, honestly, that's a loss.
I would assume they would definitely need him on a playoff run.
Yeah, that's a loss that you just, you can't really repair. Kind of like OKC trying to fill in for Roberson and losing him for the year. How are they going to fill that gap? And then you got the Warriors also in a really worrisome situation. Klay Thompson with a broken thumb. Even though the timetable is easily going to support a return before the playoffs start, it's just not good for a couple reasons. You're losing more continuity on your starting 5. Tonight, they didn't have Draymond Green, Steph, or Klay in the lineup. And we're literally, about a month or so outside of playoff time. That doesn't spell good. And that means the 1 seed is definitely going to be easy for the Houston Rockets to lock up, being that they're going to have so much firepower not on the floor for at least 2 weeks.
Exactly. They're probably going to have a long resting time, too, before the playoffs even start.
So we're going to, in a couple of weeks here, we're going to be having that age-old debate about whether it's better to be in rhythm and hot coming into the playoffs or well-rested and fresh. And, there's always 2 sides to every coin.
I believe, definitely if you can get the rest, it's more helpful. You could do some shoot-arounds, nothing too physical, but make sure you're staying active during practice. And it's better than having to come off of game 7 and having to come and play the next day a game 1 against somebody else.
Exactly. They need that rest.
Especially when you got old guys.
Really quickly, let's just congratulate OKC's Russell Westbrook for reaching his 100th. Was it 100th triple double?
Triple-double.
Triple-double. I think he came in number, 4 in all time triple-doubles in the NBA history.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Guys, I'm sorry, but I've been watching these OKC games, and let's give it up for Carmelo Anthony really shooting these threes and making these shots that I'm really jumping off the chair about.
Yep.
It's nice to see him coming alive. His game has been suffering a lot since he came to OKC Westbrook land,
Right.
So that's a scoring champion. That's a baller. That's an Olympic gold medalist, and that guy knows how to score the rock like no other. It's good to see his game flourishing.
You shouldn't sleep on them either. They got 3 guys who never won a championship, who really would love to win a championship, especially Westbrook.
Which, mind you, it hasn't been back to that full potential for him either. But with those 3 guys, if they can get it all on the the right cylinder, look out,
Yeah, don't forget Adams, because Adams is a very strong component to that team.
Yep.
He definitely rounds him out.
Yeah, and he's a good center. I wish Warriors would pick him up. You heard that, Warriors? I wish y'all would pick him up. All right, so let me look here. All right, so power rankings. Power rankings for this week. I have the top. I'm just going to go over the top 10, and then I'll speak about the rest of them. So the top 10 right now. Number 1 is with the Raptors. Number 2 is the Rockets. Number 3 is the Warriors. Number 4 is the Trailblazers on a 10-game winning streak. We got the Celtics at number 5, Utah Jazz at 6, Pacers 7, Pelicans 8, Timberwolves 9, 76ers at number 10. Now, people, if you did not hear the Cavs, it's because they're number 18. For the rest of them, we have the Nuggets at 11, the Wizards at 12, OKC at 13, Clippers at 14, Spurs at 15, Popovich, man, Lakers at 16, Heat at 17, Cavs at 18, Milwaukee at 19, Hornets 20. Do you think this can change within the next week or so? Do you think these numbers and these players and these rankings can change within the week or so?
Yeah, most definitely. They're going to change like the weather. These power rankings, they literally go by the week, and that's because the NBA changes up big time every 7 days sometimes, just like that, especially when things are this tight in the standings. I do think that the teams that rose up big time, Jazz and Portland, they're better than their records were indicating earlier in the year. And I'm not surprised that they made the moves that they did. I just don't think they're going to remain with these unconscious win streaks and this high level of playing. I mean, Dame Dollar can't miss in the fourth quarter.
I know he's Mr. Clutch this year, you feel me? And but do you agree with the Cavs being that far out, 18?
It sounds a little low considering I don't know who their recent losses come against. They have been a 500 team for a while. If we look back before the trade, they lost 12 of 18, and then now their last 10 games they're 5-5. How much better have they really gotten, guys?
I don't know. I think maybe they should. They're accurate with that right there. And if you have the standings.
Oh yeah, most definitely. What did you want to see from the standings here? Their record, I mean, they're 39-28, standing in the 4th seed there with only a half game again ahead of Washington. Meanwhile, you got so many other teams that obviously the 3 ahead of them, but not just that. You can't the power rankings, they go off, what you've been doing week by week. So your record, it's really not even going to play that big of a part. It's more of who you're beating now and how you're playing now. And we know Washington, Philly, Milwaukee, Miami, they've all had better New Year's than the Cavs had.
Yeah, the power rankings more of like the eye test of what is, going on, not the specific stats.
Exactly. They're two separate subjects, even though we can try to use one to make an argument for the other, they don't really tie in per se. You could have a team that, started off terribly, but you got the Lakers playing really hot basketball in the new year. They're much better than their record probably says in a lot of people's minds. It's just now if they could make that fight to come back and make the playoffs. Meanwhile, the Cavs are the opposite. Their record, they started out really well. They won a lot of games because of LeBron. And, when Kevin Love was playing, he was playing well too. But at the end of the day, they lose against more of the best teams of the good playoff quality teams than they're winning, than they're beating. So when you evaluate them and the quality of the wins that they get and the type of losses that they have, I think, it kind of exposes them.
It's true. I mean, and that's just the power rankings, because if we look at the Eastern Conference standings and the Western Conference standings through March 9th, which is just a couple of days back, Cavaliers is number 3 in the East. Now, their record isn't really that great, 38-26.
The NBA.com has them at number 4 right now.
Well, that's what I'm saying. This is through March 9th, so it's not something that I can speak on that's recent. I'm talking March 9th. They were just in the 3rd spot. So although they're at number 18 in the power rankings, they still definitely have a shot to make it to the playoffs.
I mean, you do know the Spurs were a 3 or a 4 seed less than 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, they're the
And now
fifth
they're the
seed as of
ninth now.
March 9th. So, like we were saying, things can change right away.
True.
That's not even relevant because they're the ninth seed right now. You have the more updated list, Bo?
No, well, she was referring back to that time stretch to show how fast things can switch up on them.
Right.
The current list right now, we know we got San Antonio at 9. We got Utah ahead of them at 8 on a 7-game win streak. Clippers in front of them at 7 with a 3-game win streak, and Minnesota and OKC just working up the list. Sorry, Minnesota, New Orleans, and then OKC. All these guys have been playing really. I mean, how many teams can we say that are playoff ready right now that you would take above the Cavs? It's a lot more than people would probably
Above
think.
the Cavs, I'll take Toronto above the Cavs. You know, there's a lot of teams not fully healthy, but
I mean, Toronto, let's bring it back for a second. Toronto ended Houston's 17-game win streak. It was a beautiful game. It was a beautiful game, a beautiful shot at the end of the game. I think actually James Harden missed the shot. He lost the game for them actually.
Yeah, he airballed the final attempt.
Yep. So it was a beautiful game. But then again, you got to remember they already clinched a playoff spot. So for the Eastern clinchers, it's already Toronto and Boston have clinched a playoff spot. For the Western, it's Houston and Golden State.
Well,
so,
clinching isn't the end of the fight though, because
it's not. It's not. But at least they know that they're in the playoffs.
True.
But they want home court advantage.
The whole way through.
Everyone does. Everyone does. I mean, do you feel more comfortable in your home turf or do you feel more comfortable in someone else's? So I think it's normal for them to want home court advantage.
And now with the Clay and injury on top of the Steph and Draymond is like day to day, you just that spells disaster for Golden State's chances to get that home court. But overall, I'm glad we see that the NBA is set back right now. Don't be a prisoner of the moment. Anybody out there watching, we don't really know. If Kevin Love comes back and George Hill starts knocking down shots, we forgot to mention Rodney Hood also out for the Cavs. Everybody's dealing with injury issues.
Clarkson and Nance.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, that team could look complete. Could they not look dominant tomorrow? It could happen. You know what I mean?
I guess so. But you still think they're not going to make the finals this year, right?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. I'm just playing a little devil's advocate for the hopefuls out there in Cleveland. I don't want to, rain on your parade too bad, but let's be honest. It would be a miracle for LeBron to take this brand new squad straight to the finals, literally 2.5, 3 months after putting them together. I want to say, Clarkson and Nance and JR and these guys are ready for that. Corver, we know some of them have experience, but look at chemistry is everything, man. And the East is really strong. I don't think they're going to beat Washington or, Indiana is looking really good, but I think Washington and Toronto are the ones that are meant to send Cleveland home this year. But you can't leave Giannis out.
The 76ers are probably going to send the Cavs home. I'm sorry to say.
I hope. Oh, this is what I wanted to say, that LeBron sent Wade home, but I can't wait for Wade to send LeBron home the first round of the playoffs.
Oh, Miami. I mean, see, we just literally picked every team in the Eastern Conference. I said the Bucks. You said the Sixers. He said the Heat. We think the entire Eastern Conference can beat them, guys.
Exactly. This year, it will not, and unfortunately, because everyone knows I hope everyone knows by now that I'm a Warriors fan. I really don't even think my team's going to make it for the Western Conference. I don't think they will be the last team standing, is what I'm saying.
Holy moly.
Especially with Klay Thompson having his thumb injury, that means he's not going to be 100%. Steph Curry tweaked his ankle. He hasn't even been playing, which I don't know why he hasn't been playing. I see him partying and jumping all over the place. You better get your stuff together. Then you have Draymond Green, who's out. Our big, strong players are out. So I don't think that will be the last team standing. I do think that it will definitely be the Rockets.
Holy moly.
Too early to tell. All those injuries, even though they are all out right now, none of them are serious. None of them are 30-day recoveries. They can all be back on the floor 2 weeks from now. If everything goes their way. with that being said, the West is stronger than ever, and you're right. They'll need all of them. So if they're not healthy,
I want all three of us to pick an underdog who we think will surprise everyone and win the championship this year that no one probably is even thinking of. I'm going to go first and say the Spurs are going to surprise everybody and they will be champions this year.
You know how to pick them.
What are you drinking?
If Kawhi Leonard comes back and their team is all healthy, the Spurs will be your champions this year.
Okay.
I see why you say that. They have the coaching. They have the star power in LaMarcus and Kawhi, even Pau Gasol, and the young stars, DeJounte Murray and Kyle Anderson, heavily being overlooked by us. These guys are playing phenomenal. I just wouldn't go that far just because I think there's teams that can put up 100+ and defend a little bit better than they can. And there was one that nobody probably sees coming that I've been nervous about all year. From the time, actually, I've been nervous since I saw the off-season, commissioning going on back and forth with these guys. From the time Minnesota put their roster together and they pulled Jimmy Butler to go with Andrew Wiggins and Karl Anthony Towns, even though I was sad they lost, Jeff Teague has, he's made it seem like he can do everything Rubio can and then still add that scoring that Rubio was a little inconsistent with at the time. Don't be surprised if the Timberwolves, if Jimmy Butler comes back right, what team can't they match up with?
And they got D Rose.
And that's what I wanted to speak about too. So let me just give my pick, and I just want to speak about D Rose real quick. So I think the underdog for the West for me would be Portland because Lillard has been going off. Let's give it to Lillard. Let's give him,
Yeah, we seriously overlooked that man.
Totally.
He didn't even make the All-Star team this year, which is ridiculous.
This year was more about who you liked and who you didn't like is what I think. I don't think they really there was a lot of people who were supposed to be on that All-Star team who wasn't on that All-Star team. So I don't know what they did this year. This year was very different.
Okay, so you're talking about D Rose?
Yes, guys. So a couple of weeks ago, on our podcast, we spoke about Tom Thibodeau ruining people's careers after what happened to Jimmy Butler. For example, we brought up Derrick Rose, Zach LaVine. I mean, these things have been circulating. I mean, we're not the only ones who think that. I read a lot of information online. A lot of people are agreeing. So here's a list.
Very true.
People who worked, who played under Tom Thibodeau. Let me just pull it up for you. All right. So we have Derrick Rose, who had a torn ACL in 2012 and a torn meniscus in 2013. Now, again, fans, this is all under Tom Thibodeau. You have Luol Deng, 2013 calf and Achilles injuries under Tom Thibodeau. 39 minutes, averaged 39 minutes a game. Derrick Rose averaged 35 minutes a game. Then you have Joakim Noah, 36 minutes a game. In 2014, he injured his knee. In 2014, he dislocated his shoulder. Then you have Zach LaVine, 37 minutes averaging a game. 2017, a torn ACL. And then you have good old Jimmy Butler, 38 minutes averaging a game, torn meniscus. Now.
Damn,
that's a hell of a rap sheet.
Body after body.
So is Thibodeau to blame? At first glance, I'm thinking he's overworking his players. But then why, people? Why would Derrick Rose go and sign with him again if we really think that Tom Thibodeau was the problem?
Nobody wanted to pick him up.
Do you think that was his last resort? Him knowing what Tom Thibodeau did or does to him when he plays under him, do you think he really said, okay, I'll sign up for this torture?
Not torture, but, Thibodeau's his man, I guess.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Back with Jimmy Butt.
Looking at what we're considering, we wouldn't expect Rose to take that move and go back there, right? I fully get it. I just think that he maybe believes that he'll be managed better this time. We don't know what type of conversation had behind closed doors, if he made up an arrangement, or if, he's just going to trust him and say that maybe, it's a built-up thing and that he does what's best for the team and he's only doing what we need to win.
Or maybe he just feels like Tom Thibodeau wasn't the reason for I mean, listen, even commentators are really going in on Derrick Rose, saying his career is over. He's nothing. He's done for. And Derrick Rose did come out and said, and I quote, "You could have your perspective out. You can have your perspective on me. As far as I'm a bum, I can't play, I can't shoot. But at the same time, I don't need your effing validation." And this is him on doubters who don't believe in him anymore.
Not surprised. Had to shut him down.
Yes, I mean, a lot of people are talking really crazy reckless about him, and
Maybe, maybe he just has issues outside of the game because remember he had to take that time off from the Cavs, which was pretty weird. And I don't know. I think I did see a report that not one team was interested in him, so I'm surprised.
To me, I feel he is a liability. I mean, he's hurt. He's been hurt. I even think he has doesn't he have a back problem at some point or a back injury at some point? Am I wrong?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think he has had a back injury before. And like Maddox said, I'm even more concerned than ever with him just because I love him. Don't get me wrong. He produced well for the Knicks when he was there, but he also left the Knicks and the Cavs 2 consecutive seasons in a row while healthy, stepped away from basketball for personal reasons. Who are you, and are you ready to play the game?
You're right. Even though their body's healthy, mentally, emotionally, they may not be healthy. So we definitely don't know what goes on behind closed doors. Hopefully, Derrick Rose did take the time that he needed to recoup and re-energize, and hopefully he's feeling better now.
He
because
looks like somebody who hides things inside, like.
I mean, you see
thing.
these basketball players, and you think you're rich. Why do you have, you shouldn't have any problems. You have all this money in the world. But even all the money in the world is not going to stop your problems. People suffer through real problems. And just because they have all this money doesn't mean they have to be happy 100% of the time.
It's funny you say that.
To be happy.
DeMar DeRozan and Kevin Love on back-to-back weeks broke the news talking about battling with depression recently, and so they're definitely trying to let the world know that they deal with human issues.
Yeah, they're normal people. They're just, their life is now, and I don't see a lot of basketball players really broadcasting their lives, like every move that they make, and I don't really see that a lot. But then you see people coming forward saying, we have these problems too. Yes, we make millions of dollars and we put on a show for you guys to make you happy, but really, who's making us happy? So, we got to give them a break sometimes, too. So if Derrick Rose needed the time, we shouldn't be scrutinizing that because that's just going to add to whatever problem he's facing behind closed doors. That's not going to make it positive. It's just going to make it more negative.
I'm down with him doing whatever he thinks is best for him.
Facts only. But I'm not down with you stepping away. You got to remember, when you commit, we were just talking about the obligation to the fans. How much worse is it when you're quitting on your team and the fans when you're perfectly healthy?
But do you think that they should dock his pay if he takes the time out?
I'm sure they do.
But for medical reasons, it's illegal.
Well, I don't think it's medical.
No, he steps away for personal reasons. He left. That's what I said. He did some unprecedented shit. Who gets these fat contracts? And he left 2 different teams on back-to-back seasons for personal reasons for more than a couple of weeks.
But you guys have to understand, in an employment world, when you cite personal, you can't, it's illegal to really tap into what's going on. If I were interviewing someone and they say it's personal and I ask them, okay, what was the reason? That is illegal. So you really can't tap into what their personal reason was because it could be a whole can of worms that you don't really want to get into.
I'm not trying to get into what it was. I'm saying if you're coming back to a team now, just be ready, because if you're taking up a roster spot, you're in practice, you're on the floor, we're working with you, we're trying to build chemistry. That's an investment, and you're taking up a spot that we could have given someone else, whether it be a new rookie or a veteran that doesn't have a team to play for.
You're right, but that's why these laws are in place. If you need time because of personal reasons and it's medical, legally they can't terminate a contract. Legally, they can't fire you. Legally, they can't do that.
So if you do it 3 years in a row into 3 different teams, are you the biggest asshole, or am I?
But this is why these players are insured, though. I mean, look at Kanye. Okay, getting off topic. Kanye West has a meltdown in a thing, goes crazy, talks crap about everyone and their moms, talks crap about Jay-Z, and was insured. canceled the rest of his tour, so he ruined all the fans' experience that may have been first-time ticket buyers, and was still paid out millions of dollars because he had that personal issue. So this is why
Painting his hair pink and all that shit to make him even seem like I think he is.
No, he definitely does have, I think, something mentally wrong ever since that thing happened. You know, his mom passed away. God bless her soul. God rest her soul.
Listen. One time with an artist on a tour is an outlier. I'm saying 3 years in a row if he does it again.
But listen, this is why you don't understand that. Let's say, for example, let's just throw it out there and say he suffers from depression. It doesn't go away. So you could have really, really good time, and then
you shouldn't sign with a team. You shouldn't be trying out for NBA teams.
It's not his fault, right? It's the team's fault and the management and the front office if they gamble on him, you know.
And listen, and really, you're gonna turn down millions of dollars when you have a family, you have people you have to provide for. He's going in thinking, okay, I'm gonna get my thing straight. I'm gonna go do this. I'm gonna go do that. I'm gonna make sure I'm healthy.
I don't think he's going in trying to sabotage.
Right.
People.
I don't think
but maybe
either.
he just didn't want to.
You guys are the nicest people in the world. You can't, all I'm saying is he's an asshole if you go 3 years in a row to NBA teams and you leave them all for different personal reasons and you're perfectly healthy. You're physically clear to play.
Mentally and emotionally, he may not be healthy as all.
You shouldn't. It's a selfish thing to do because you have to understand. I don't think
it's selfish working on yourself. I don't think it's selfish.
No. We're not talking about working on yourself. He can work on himself anywhere.
No, that's what you don't understand. People go to facilities and get professional help.
That's what I mean. Go do that. Don't take up an NBA roster spot.
He might get homesick. He can't travel.
Right? But you don't understand. Listen, he could be really, really happy one game. And he maybe the next game he didn't play so well.
You can't be depressed.
Maybe this
guy is one of the first guys.
Nobody's hearing this. This is we just said they have to play if they have a contract obligation.
But
and now you're making a complete opposite.
You're
making an argument for the opposite now.
No, it's different because LeBron James never took time. If he's never took time off for certain personal reasons, why should I feel that there's something wrong with him? But if someone's taking off during certain things, yes, those are signs that you just can pick up on.
These are labels. They say personal reasons when they want to say exhaustion. When they're tired, they take time away from the team. It's literally just
okay. So what you're saying is
you're flip flopping completely. Everybody's hearing this.
Just say that you don't believe.
If Derrick Rose said that he was best player in the world, maybe I would have held him to the same thing.
Okay. But can we just
we're not only having a discussion for LeBron James. It's an NBA-wide discussion because the rule applies to every player and your obligation applies to every player. So don't get selective 10 minutes later.
So can you just say then?
Was this invented because of LeBron?
Oh goodness! Forget LeBron. Can you just come out and say
everybody? But it was invented because of LeBron.
Can you just come out and say that you don't believe that Derrick Rose has any inner issues and you think that he's just playing the system and he just wants to rest and he doesn't have any type of problems and he has an obligation?
He might be one of the first players who really has a mental illness.
There's nothing more criminal than taking millions of dollars year after year when you know you're not ready to play and taking up a roster spot.
But what if they told you, Phil, that in his contract, it shows that he doesn't get paid for those personal times off?
It doesn't matter. Either way, you don't understand.
That's what Phil's saying, that he's going to pay millions. But what if he's not being paid when he's doing these?
Exactly. So we're assuming that he's continuously getting paid, but then you don't understand that he comes in thinking, I'm going to be straight. I'm fine. Let's say he's taking medication. I'm going to get this under control. He has a good game, and then the next game is a bad game, and he hears all this negative stuff, and it gets him down in a rut, and then he gets back into his depression stage, and then he's like his own worst enemy.
Homesick.
You don't understand.
So you think somebody should take $1 million contract if they can't take social media criticism?
But do you think that he went in saying, I'm going to get sick during the middle of the year?
Media. I think it's something,
Airhead commentator, I would agree with you 1,000% if we were talking somebody who doesn't have a history of this, who never did this before.
But if it's a history, you don't think that it's a This is what I'm trying to understand. This is what I'm trying to make you
understand. That's why you retire. People retire from way lesser things. If you have mental depression, chronic, then you clearly are not NBA.
If you feel that it's under control.
If you were going through the same issues, would you want the NBA to turn their back on you?
Absolutely not.
If you had depression,
turn their back. I'm not saying turn their back on me. He's not capable of playing if he comes 3 years in a row.
Nobody should have gambled and took his contract.
That's illegal too. People with disabilities need jobs too.
But
So everything you're saying is illegal.
It's not illegal if you're
gamble
not
on him, and
physically.
nobody
If you're
should
not,
sign him.
this is a performance. This is a physical job.
It's a
You can't-
career.
If you can't do it,
Should anybody have signed him?
You don't look at it as a.
he wouldn't be. There would be no law broken if
Yeah.
Derrick Rose was not physically, mentally capable of playing, and a team didn't sign him.
Oh my goodness, are you serious? If
There's
you
no
have
law broken.
Let's say he goes to a doctor, and let's say the NBA knows that he's diagnosed with something, right? And he wants to go on a team, and no one signs him. Don't you know that he could sue and be like, "You guys don't want to sign me because I have a mental disability"? It's illegal.
Why don't you
can't
tell that to
discriminate.
Colin
It's a
Kaepernick?
very thin line.
Tell that to Colin Kaepernick, okay?
Colin Kaepernick
He's fighting in court right now for the same thing, and he's gonna
Exactly.
lose.
for mental disability, or because they're discriminating. Discrimination is a law. Yes, he should be fighting in court about this because they're discriminating against him because of his beliefs, but they're not discriminating against him because he has a mental issue. And let's just say that that's Derrick Rose's case, that he has a mental issue. He has a court case if they discriminate against him and they don't hire him for that. It's equal opportunity employer. It's laws. So if they don't sign him, I understand what you're trying to say. He has an obligation.
People get turned their back on for way less than not being able. If he can't, you're vouching for somebody who can't
But they
play
gambled
to
on
take
him.
nights off and to get paid millions. I understand your
But
point.
whose fault is it?
You're making it seem
Cleveland gambled on him.
you're
Timberwolves
overshadowing
gambled
my
on him.
point. You're overshadowing my point, but it is what it is.
I'm completely understand what you're saying. He should
don't.
just come along and
You don't.
every
The way
time
do you
he
hear how you're
cries.
saying it? But do you see how you're saying it though? Okay, I see what you're getting. Just get paid and not work. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying
that's
is
exactly
that
what
there's laws
you're.
in place.
But what if he's not even getting paid?
But this is just an assumption
There
that
might
if
be a
he is
clause
getting
in the
paid.
contract.
She
I don't think
wants
he's getting
him.
paid.
She wants him to have his contract and leave as often as he likes because he's crying at night.
I
Oh
don't
my
think-
goodness!
I don't think
Look
that
at how
he's
you're
getting-
saying. Look at how
I don't
you're
think that
saying
he's
that.
getting paid though, Phil.
Look at how you're saying that. I really hope that the fans don't get turned off by this, because there could be people listening who go through that same issue and know exactly what I'm talking about,
They
and will
should
never
not-
agree with you.
This
And
is
there
a
may
game-
be people who
this
agree
is a
with you and don't
competitive-
agree with me.
This is
But in
you
this
should
day
have a
and
harder.
age,
This is a competitive thing where if you cannot take it, you should not be in the heat. If you can't get out the kitchen, you know what I'm
that's
saying?
horrible. That's a horrible way of looking at it, because I would love to help someone with a mental
You're gonna
Why
make
did
to get a job.
why
You're
did
gonna
they
make
sign him?
everyone else
Why did-
fail around you
Why
and
did the
take
Timberwolves
millions.
sign him if that was the case?
Okay, well, no, they don't have to play him if he can't hack it. Okay, but if he doesn't know that if he knows that he's not mentally capable, if he's not sound, if he didn't go through
But
a
he
year,
doesn't think
But
that.
no one
He
knows.
doesn't
This is
think
what I'm
that.
trying to make you
He
understand.
could be schizophrenic.
People don't go in. People don't wake up and say, "I'm going to be depressed today." They go to sleep and they're like, I'm going to go to sleep. I'm going to get a good night's rest, and I'm going to start a new day tomorrow.
you're gonna feel bad and play like devil's advocate. It's 3 years in a row if he does it again.
Oh
If he
my
did it
goodness.
once,
It
if he did it
doesn't
once,
matter.
But do you,
so every year. So you think it would be okay to do this 5 years in a row? That's what you're saying?
What I'm saying is, if this
but
is
is
a
it
problem,
okay? Answer this. Is it okay?
How many years
Is
does he
it
get to come
okay-
and leave and take
Is it
fat
okay
millions?
when he leaves that he's not getting paid?
yes.
Thank you.
If that's
I
the
want to hear from Coach Phil.
Of course, it's not okay for him to leave and collect millions year after year. No, that's not okay.
But if he wasn't, we don't know for a fact if he was getting paid when he wasn't there.
Dude, his contract is not getting docked from what I understand. Once it's guaranteed money,
We got to look that up.
I'm from what I last.
His last two contracts with the
they're
Cavs
guaranteed.
and the Timberwolves aren't his normal, contracts that he had with Chicago.
So do you believe
No,
it?
his-
So you don't think that people who go out on maternity leave should get paid, knowing that they have a moral obligation that they have to work 365 days out of the year because that's what they're getting paid to do?
Maternity leave is not what we're talking about. You earn things.
It's still
with
a
the company.
leave. It's a medical reason. It's a personal reason.
No,
and they're
you don't
still
understand the
getting paid.
difference. It's something that
I don't understand the difference.
There's a
Do you think
difference.
someone goes in
No,
thinking
Phil,
the
the same thing- the
similarity
same thing. is that you're both workers,
the
right?
similarity is do
This
I go
person
to
just does this. This person plays basketball. They're both the same person.
the similarity is this. Does someone go to bed thinking I'm gonna get pregnant in this year? No.
People-
Sometimes that thing just happens out of nowhere. So then they have to deal with it. And then
People
they have
work-
to go through the maternity leave. So
Listen,
they don't
it's-
go
it's
in
not the
thinking this
same.
is gonna
So
happen.
you work on maternity leave for several months. It's not a physical job. You can work on it. There's too many
You
variables.
work
to-
I'm sorry. Did you have a kid before? Because you're restricted from working for at least the first 6 weeks.
My mother worked. Okay, you're talking about 6 weeks. It's not the same thing as what Derrick Rose is doing.
It's 6 weeks if it's a vaginal delivery, and it's 8 weeks if it's a C-section.
Companies have built-in policies for employees to have paid sick days and paid work leave. That's already covered in your contract.
Not everyone. That doesn't go for everybody.
What do you mean? If you have a company that offers it, if they don't offer it, then we're screwed, right?
That's what I'm saying. So that's what I said. So I just corrected you. Not everyone offers that.
Okay, so not everyone. So companies offer this, right? Not all, but companies offer this. Now, if it's offered and you can take advantage of that and it's already factored in, that means all parties agree to these terms ahead of time. There's no, hold on.
Exactly.
Hold on. I'm not
so
done.
you don't think?
I remember LeBron saying that supporting Derrick Rose.
Okay, let him finish.
He gets better.
Time out. Let him finish.
They want him to come back.
Let him finish.
There's an understood upfront agreement, which is not even comparable remotely to what Derrick Rose would be doing of intentionally going into seasons 3, 4, 5 years.
So you think he's intentionally doing this, Phil?
That's like someone getting pregnant every year.
You think he's
3, 4, 5 years in a row, misleading everyone. They don't know about the paid leave.
But is he
doing
this? You don't think he has no issues? He's just playing video games.
Hello, that's like getting pregnant every year. Some people get pregnant every year. So you think that it's their intention every year to take off however long from work?
A physical job.
If you're saying that it's up front in the contract that, okay, you have this amount of paid sick time, this amount of leave time, you don't think that that's in a contract?
That's already negotiated for maternity leave. It's not negotiated for NBA players to just leave all season long every year.
Okay, I want you to find that for me.
Okay.
I want you to
his contract.
You're saying that.
What do you mean?
You're saying that Derrick Rose is intentionally taking time off.
That means that the NBA
to play video games.
If you're saying that the NBA doesn't have that in a contract, that means that the NBA doesn't care about their players. Do you hear how ludicrous that sounds? It's impossible for them not to offer some type of thing where these players could take resting time. So for you to say that the NBA is not in their contract, that would literally mean that the NBA does not care about these players.
They get understood leave for certain circumstances that is understood and agreed upon for everybody up front. Now, if you say that you're
about to come back because they have stuff like that.
Exactly, probably what Derrick Rose is exercising in his contract.
Now, if you say that, well, no, he wasn't on a roster. He was not in the NBA, so don't get it twisted. He was not. Why do you think? Where do you think he was before Minnesota? Where was he the week before? What team?
I think he came back, right, and then left again from Cleveland.
Yes, he was on the Cleveland and he left, right? But you're complaining about him being on rosters and leaving while he's on rosters. That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about when he's not.
Investing in him and still taking the chance.
That's on them
because
it's part of the contract.
Think that Derrick Rose is taking the time off to vacation or play video games? Or
do I believe that? First of all, that just the fact that we're hypothesizing that exactly proves why it's wrong. Because this is what you create. Now, second of all, You
don't think he has no issues?
I don't think that Derrick Rose is basketball ready. I do think that he has personal things that he needs to work on, and I think that you should have a more vigorous in yourself. There's a G League that is set in place for players that are struggling to go down to develop.
So why is the NBA?
So
you're telling me if the NBA wants you on their team, you rather go to the G League?
Timeout.
They're willing to take a chance because they're desperate. Jimmy Butler is hurt, so he's taking advantage.
You're telling me as a coach in the NBA you're telling me as whoever you are to sign these players in the NBA that you don't have to play for them and work out for them so they could really evaluate you and say, okay, this person is worth whatever money I'm going to give them. You think they're just signing him just because he's Derrick Rose?
They could have tested him, but they can't test what he's fronting on them with his mental evaluation. They can't test that.
But he hasn't done that to them.
So if they want to listen,
and told him,
guys, if he does it again, you're gonna be eating all these words, and I'm gonna be laughing.
I'm not. If he does it again, I'm gonna say I'm really sad for him, and I hope he gets the help that he needs.
And that he should never come back to the NBA and steal more millions.
I'm not gonna be eating my words.
Why did the Timberwolves sign him?
Obviously,
they're desperate.
No, that's horrible for you to say. And you're just like the critics that he's talking about. He doesn't need your validation. And you saying that is just making him more negative.
I started off this segment by saying that Derrick Rose is capable. I quoted his numbers and what he contributed to the Knicks. This is all prefaced on if he leaves a team again while perfectly healthy, it would be 3 years in a row, and I would consider that a crime against another team.
Healthy?
Yes.
What if he's mentally incapable
You're just talking about physical
and he
health.
has issues and needs therapy.
In order to be 100% healthy, your mental stability, your emotional stability, and your physical stability all have to be
just
healthy.
Just like Markelle Fultz, he said, "Oh, it's a mental thing, right?"
Just like Kevin
Didn't they say Markelle Fultz was a mental thing?
I don't remember. All I know
this
is
doesn't
that
make sense.
Totally.
I'm required in my job to leave. If my grandmother is sick and dying, I'm required to come to work and smile, just like you are every day. Do you know that?
Absolutely, but you didn't have a contract with that job.
And just
do you know that?
Just like you said, some companies offer it, some companies don't. But if you're telling me that the NBA does not offer that option to their players, that just means they don't care about their players.
I know that they offered the option because they allowed him to come back to Cleveland. They couldn't wait till he came back.
Listen, I never said it's not allowed. I said it's a way to fuck the teams, and it's a way to fuck your teammates.
Purposely fucking
yes,
teams?
That's what he thinks. He thinks it's purposely, and I don't think it's on purpose. I think it's
no. What you don't get is if you're not and if your integrity and your intestinal fortitude is not cemented, if you're not in Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant mode, you know what the NBA demands of you.
Oh man,
soul-wise.
So we could just show him and tell him that he's not.
So you
I think that you believe that his potential is higher than what he's actually
contributing. No, I believe that Clutchfield believes that he knows that he's not mentally there and emotionally there and can play a full season. That's what Phil believes.
Phil thinks
exactly.
That Derrick
Rose How are you gonna know that you're not there?
He just said exactly. Exactly what I said is exactly what he thinks.
Okay, but also I think he thinks that he can contribute more than what he's actually been doing.
Exactly. He does think that too. He thinks that too. But what I'm telling him is someone with these disabilities don't come in thinking that they're not 100% healthy. They go in and they tell themselves every day, I'm healthy, I can do this, I can do this. They're their own worst critic.
He might be great at basketball, but he has issues in his head.
And it doesn't, and then after a few days, he gets, or
he
however long.
He might be suicidal, for all we know.
For whatever problem he's facing. This is why you need to
we don't want that crazy.
So you think the best thing to do for somebody that is dealing with stuff like this, let's put them on a stage where
but
you don't
200. Hold on.
You don't believe
you think the therapy that somebody in this situation should do is put themselves on the stage for the entire 500 million people every day to critique? You think they're not? You think that the kids on the internet are going to be nicer than?
Do you know what? Clutchfield, do you know?
Do you believe in progression? He's not even worried about kids on the internet.
Do you know
in progression and he can get better?
Do you know the definition of a relapse? There you go. That's all I need to say. Do you know the definition of a relapse? When you're thinking you're doing good and then you relapse, that's Derrick Rose's problem right now.
Again, people that are relapsing every year are not healthy and they shouldn't be, taking millions from people.
So
you think he's healthy?
You think that you just be scum on the earth and sit home and not collect
scum of the earth? No, he should.
Not try to progress.
You know how many things he can do?